Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new territory. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new relationship. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. And today it's a conversation from none other than the Pastors and Leaders Summit 2023. And we had an amazing time. There were some amazing speakers that were at that Pastors and Leaders Summit. And one of those speakers was somebody that I am very familiar with. I've been familiar with them over the years, over time. We've had relationship in the past, and it was great to be able to sit down and talk to them about leading when you're not in charge. So when you are the second seat, when you're the one who is leading behind someone that is leading, when you are the one that is helping to make sure that everything gets done and the job is what it is supposed to be. And who am I talking about? Who does that? Who is incredible at doing such an amazing job? That is none other than Pastor Crystal Knight. Yes, Pastor Crystal Knight. She is now one of the associate pastors, the assistant pastor at Ignite Church, but she came to the Pastors and Leaders Summit in order to help us to understand what it means to lead when you're not in charge. I would beg to differ about being in charge, but how about you listen to what she said and you can take it for yourself. So let's go into this conversation. Let's go.
Which is what we need to drive home. People will not pick up the phone and just ask for the help.
Because it's hard.
I know. So what I do
is
was
one of the hardest things to do.
It come
really
in,
is.
Like this one lady, she's a cutter.
Mm-hmm.
And she's young. She was also displaced. So I was helping her to find housing.
Okay.
She didn't know that our job does that. She was like, oh my God, that like saved her life, her and her son. So what she could not do in terms of picking up the phone, I ended up being that,
the intermediary.
And then I just said, you gotta get the help. And I said, if you need me to sit with you and help you make the call or connect you with somebody that will create that safe space so you can feel comfortable, yeah. But I think because of the rapport
that you have with her.
Yeah, when she went through
other stuff.
That caused her to want to come in, yeah.
But what do you do when, seriously though, what do you do when you know what you need? When I know what I need, but I don't know how to get there. What do you do with that? And that transpires at work, that transpires in the church, that transpires to leadership. I know what I need. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how, and I don't know how, and I don't know who I can trust, because that's another big thing. Who I can trust to go to with my what and my how. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So I will say, when you say, I don't know who, so that means you don't have the information that you need, because then you have those that have the information, but they still don't want to use it. You know what I mean? Like we said.
Yeah.
Here's the number.
Right.
All you got to do is call. But there's something that keeps that person from picking up the phone to make the call. Yeah. And for some people, I think if you're already in a vulnerable space, to open up that space to somebody that you don't know.
Yeah.
Without feeling like you're going to be judged or stereotyped. And so that's a lot, because then that person is contending with your trust issues, your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, your question marks, and that's hard,
All of it.
And that's why I say, I think if people knew what others have gone through without disclosing a whole lot, it makes it easy for people to come to you when they know, okay, all right, she knows what it means to be without a job or almost losing her home, because not everybody want to say that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But things happen that's out of your control.
Who wants to put that
right.
out?
Look.
Who wants to do that?
But going through those experiences also helps you to relate to those that are in those.
In those places.
And in those places.
Right.
So, and I'll use Sadaka House. I would never know what it means to be displaced if I never went through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Only I did not allow myself to sink to a point where I just didn't care and I gave up, which for most of those people, maybe they didn't have access to information.
Right.
Access to resources
right.
that would prevent them from being on the street. Because I say there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't even be homeless, but they are.
Yes.
Because they just didn't know who to go to.
Right.
So.
But what about, yes, you gave me the, one thing I heard in what you were saying, like, I have the resources, I know, but did you also have that support from others that didn't let you sink, that didn't let you, like,
I'm glad you said that.
How important is that piece to us being who we are and getting what we need and all of those pieces? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. When I was going through what I was going through, the people that knew that had the answers, they didn't say nothing.
They didn't say a word.
And so I was struggling to find answers. I said, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that you knew what I needed to do? And I'm like, really? And so I said, even if you didn't have the money, which I wasn't asking for.
Right.
Because, some people they may ask me, no. Even if you don't have that, that's what I also tell people, sometimes you don't have to have money. Some people just need your time.
Yeah.
And then you may not have the time to give extensively, but if you have 5 minutes just to lend me your ear.
That's it. You
know what I mean? So I had to struggle to find answers and respond. That means I had to dig, I had to research and everything. Sometimes you're a little ticked off because you're like, sometimes you just want to pick up a shoe and be like, so I'm going through all of this.
Right.
Court, everything. Nervous wreck. Stressing.
Yes.
Not eating.
Yes.
Sleeping, crying.
Yes.
Only to find out that you had a number and a name.
A number and a name. The entire time.
Not just a number where I can get anybody. You had a name.
Yes. You had the specifics of what I needed. The specifics. And
that's when he told me that with the nonprofit, when I was looking at, because the first thing I said, Lord, I don't have a story. Most people start a business or whatever, they have a story behind it.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, I don't have a story.
Ooh.
And he was like, yes, you do.
Did you ask for it? Oh, Crystal.
So wait a minute. But that was before that. He said, you have the story. Everything that I went through, that was your story.
Right.
And so you're relatable. You can tell because you know the struggle.
Right.
But to prevent them going through everything you had to go through, you can literally stop it in its tracks.
Right.
To be able to say, hey, before it gets to this point, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And the connections that he has afforded me to be able to establish and be introduced to is literally those same connections that I pass on to everybody else. Right.
Right. But this is also what has helped you to be who you are overall. So even in your, because it hit me like, oh my God, do we ask for this stuff? Like, do we ask for this stuff? And it's not intentional. I'm not going to say that we intentionally, like, oh, God picked me, let, all hell raise in my life so that I can have a story, so that I can do something, because we definitely do not do that. Mm-hmm. Maybe some people do.
But I was going to say.
Maybe some people do.
I was going to say, yeah, because when you think about what Ebony said, when you think about the work that all of us do, You cannot, when you pray the prayer, Lord, use me. When you pray the prayer, Lord, you know, you're laying this on my heart. You're laying it on it for a reason.
Right.
Not knowing at some point you're going to have to experience
all that.
You can't become something if you don't go through the training, if you don't go through the making and the shaping.
Is that really true? Because I've prayed that prayer and I've said those words. God, I want to. I'll just say, God, I want to be a therapist, but I know that this is what you're calling me to do. I know that this is where you're calling me to be. I know you've shown it to me. You've said it to me. You've said it for years. I was disobedient in it. I know that this is what you said, but I don't have a reason to. I don't have anything to share with anyone. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that is. So then all of these other things, I already have my own story from earlier, but all these other things started to happen, and then it was like I didn't have a choice. Like I didn't have a choice but to go and get therapy. It wasn't because of what other people said to me, but I didn't have a choice. It was do or die, literally. Right? And so, even in us knowing, and like, it was like, you didn't have a choice. It came to a point that I don't have a choice anymore. It was do or die. Like, literally, it was do or die. And so, do we call these things on ourselves?
No, I don't.
That's crazy.
I don't think Moses asked to be the leader over.
He didn't want it.
I'm gonna say, what is it? How many millions of people? Because it was millions.
And he did not want it.
But yet he tried to do it by himself, and then it took an HR Jethro, his father, and said, "Yo, bud, you can't do this by yourself. You need help."
Right.
You see how many people you got? It's not the same as sheep and casually running into people and helping here and there.
Right.
But look at the magnitude.
But wait a minute. Wait.
Because remember, go ahead.
Jethro did call him, but even prior to that, he didn't want it.
He didn't. He was like stumbling. Like,
he was like,
he was stumbling when God was saying, "Look, I need you to help my people escape. They need to go. They need to leave."
And so he said, "Okay, well, he'll speak for you." So he was
resisting in there.
But
Lord, what am I supposed to say?
But he was right there with him because he would tell him what to say, and he would tell the people. And so he was his voice. So you were never really by yourself.
He wasn't. Plus, he already had a relationship with the very person that he knew he would have to be up against, battling. He had to have those hard conversations that he did not want to have.
Because that's your brother. I told you, she's got some great nuggets. She's got some information that will help each and every one of us know what our place is, when our place is, and how we are supposed to move in that place. But we got to go to a commercial. So I want you to stay tuned, because on the other side, she's going to continue to give us more bits, more nuggets. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Support our music artist of the month, Anissa Fowler. I need you to go to your music outlet and I need you to purchase her new single, I Mean Jesus, All the Way. Come on, I need you to go get it. I need you to purchase I Mean Jesus, All the Way by Anissa Fowler. She is our artist of the month. Show her love, show her support. Purchase this single today. I need you to go get it. Let's go.
If you really know me, you know what it is. I don't play no games. I handle my biz. Call me holy roller. It is what it is. Pull up if you wanna, but Jesus got me covered.
We're back. And we're here going back into our conversation with Pastor Crystal Knight. Sit back and pay attention. Get out your pen, get out your pad, because you're going to want to take some notes. So let's go. Here we go.
Was probably hard. If we put that in reality to say, how many of us would be really to have those hard conversations or come up against your loved ones? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Your stepsister or your sister-in-law or somebody like that, your sibling. That's a hard place.
It's a hard place.
You know, and so he probably was dealing with all those emotions, but he also felt the weight of all of that.
Right.
And so, of course, he was like, Lord, he used his speech. I don't know how to talk.
So I'm like, I can't do this.
And that probably was not even the core or the root of why he really didn't want to do what he wanted to
Insecurity.
do. It was a lie.
Insecurity. I'm just gonna, because that's one thing that a lot of us have. A lot of us have insecurity.
Absolutely.
Self-doubt, self-esteem, right? Like, but I mean, you put both hands up, but you're doing it, and so you're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it for others.
But see, this is the thing. My insecurities came from. They could stem from trauma, failing, disappointment, rejection, hurt, and just bad experiences. And so every time it's time for you to mount up or come before the same type of platform that caused you that same hurt and all, it's hard, and you're like, Lord, what in the world? And that's when he shined the light on Moses so much so I said, Lord, he had what was already in him all along.
Right.
And because he constantly put it into use, he became a master.
Yeah.
Of his profession, of his skill, of his craft. And but that was the very thing that God used to
direct them
to part the Red Sea.
Yeah.
That's what he used, and every time his hand was up, they won against the Amalekites.
Right.
But as soon as his arm became heavy.
Right.
So, and that's where people have to remember that the pressure that you feel is the pressure to use what's in you. Most people are looking at everything else, but they fail to see it's already in you. Forget the platform, forget the people, forget their opinions. It's already in you.
Right.
They can't question that. You are used to using that ride. God used your ride, your skill, your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge. He's been using it from day one. That's the very thing he used to confirm who you are.
For you.
Exactly. So I don't care if nobody else validate.
And so you're saying you were not here the past 2 days?
Oh, really? I know I wasn't. And that was, I said, Lord, that's going to be on purpose.
Because I'm going to tell you, you were sitting here saying everything that they said. You're saying what Bishop Page said yesterday about having the hard conversations, not having us always being in conflict and causing conflict with one another in order to have things disbanded, so you don't have to have the hard conversation. We cause conflict instead of conversations.
That's good.
He said that yesterday. Bishop Davis last night, he said the command that he gave to us from God last night was, you have 7 days to have the hard conversation with the person that you're in conflict with. You have 7 days to have that conversation. He said it last night. He said you must have that hard conversation.
Keep hearing that same thing.
It's the same thing, and so even in even what you're saying even now, like it was spoken upon. Bishop Dennis, he says the same thing. He was like, it's in you. It's in the pastor's only session. He was like, you have to know who you are. You can't be scared about this. You can't be. So you were here. You were here, and so even with you bringing the secondary leadership part, like they were talking to, the heads, the first, but you're a head in your own right, even in being a secondary leader, and doing what you do, and having that place for a very long time. And I'm not just saying like where you are now, but is secondary leadership a comfortable place that we have to become uncomfortable with?
In secondary leadership, a comfortable place that we have to become uncomfortable with.
Yes. Do you hear me? Because we get so used to being, I'm gonna say, the youth pastor. We get so used to being on the leader of the ushers. We get so used to being the executive pastor. We get so used to being in charge of the deacons. We get so and always having to go to someone. I'm guilty. I am very, very comfortable with being a secondary leader. I know I'm a leader, and I said this to somebody the other day. I was like, I know I'm a leader. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I know who I am as a leader, but I know who I am as a leader behind somebody else, pushing them forward, making sure that everything gets done. This other leadership position is very uncomfortable, and is this where I fit? Are there those that are honestly secondary leaders and are not heads?
Now, I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do believe that. I do also believe...
Did that make sense? It makes sense?
No, that's perfect sense because, all right, we use David and Saul.
Okay.
We already know that David could have easily taken the role at any given time. All he had to do was kill him.
That's it.
But he knew he could not because that was who God put in place. And so he had to buy his time and just wait.
Right.
But it did not stop him from being who he was.
Right.
To the point that it aggravated the one that was in charge because the one in charge also saw it.
Right.
And to the point he became envious. He was jealous because he recognized.
It.
And then when he wasn't doing what he was supposed to, it literally, he shifted his own self. He created his own exodus.
Right.
Because he failed to do what David did.
Right.
And I think it's just a matter of time before, like, when Ebony was saying, sometimes you can want the table, but not understand the weight of the table.
Weight of the table.
What it takes to be at the table, the decorum, the etiquette, everything that you need in order to sit there. But when you're not even asking for it is when God knows that you're ready, that he will go ahead and just shift you and put you right there. And I believe when he does that, that door of opportunity would have already availed itself. When I say that, he's created the door, it's open, and he literally just pushed you in there. Like literally pushed you in there.
And you done stumbled into...
Where others have to create a door, they got to find a place, they got to find the money, they don't even have the people.
Right.
So you created your own door versus the door just... You know what I mean?
Up for you.
Right. So I say timing is always, but understanding that timing. So even while you're occupying in a secondary role, when it's time, the same way he shifted you in that role is the same way he'll shift you in. And I honestly believe that. And so while we may not temporarily understand what he's doing now, we don't know how that's maneuvering itself to get me to where, or to get a person right where they need to be.
Just like we were talking about with the therapy part, and you know what you need to do, but it's the how part. And what I hear you saying is God has already he has already created. He knows my steps. He's ordered my path. He's orchestrating. Right? Yep. So it's already done. It's just, I guess I'm gonna say being comfortable, and I don't. Easy. And are we supposed to be comfortable though?
No.
Right.
Because I say even in secondary is not comfortable. There's always a set of challenges that comes with whatever role that God has you in.
Right.
And when I looked at Joshua, sometimes I wish I was at it, just because you want to ask the question, did you know that you were going to be his successor? You know what I mean? Like, while you fighting and battling, but all of that fighting and the battling that he had to do,
It set you up.
training those that would go set him up, because he had to fight his way to get to the promised land, cross over.
Right.
Then you had to fight to get your promise once you stepped into
got
it.
there.
Then you had to fight again to maintain it. Then you had to fight again to keep other people from trying to
Come and
keep
get it.
what they know they can't have.
Right. Because it wasn't you're not supposed to.
It wasn't ongoing. I was like, Lord, that's a whole lot of work just to get a blessing.
One blessing.
I gotta fight to get it, fight to walk into it, fight to keep it, and to fight to keep people from trying to take what I know is mine.
Listen, Pastor Crystal Knight never disappoints. She always has information. She always has those things that will help us, that will lead us, that will guide us, so that we will be better in the positions that we take, the positions that we have, not only to help those that we are leading, but also to help the leader that we are helping. We are helping those that we are leading, but we are also helping the leader that we are helping. So, listen, I know you got a lot of information. I know you took some notes, and I know that this conversation was beneficial for you in your leadership process, in your leading process, because we will not always be the one who is helping somebody else. There's going to become a time when you are out front leading for yourself. So make sure that you get all of the information. Make sure that you get everything that you can while you are leading, while not in charge. Again, I would dare to say you are in charge, because the leader that you are helping to lead has put you in place and put you in charge to make sure that some things get done, because we all have some areas where we're not as strong in as other people are. So you are in charge. You have a charge. God has given you a charge. Make sure that charge gets done the way that God has called you to complete it. I'm Pastor Chira. This is Pastor Chira Show, and I'll see you next week. God bless.